back to my channel. My name is Lindsay and we're here today doing my May plan with me. And yeah, I said May and not April because you're probably wondering where that video went. Well, just like everything else in life, things just didn't go the way that I expected, and I wasn't really completely happy with it in terms of my theme, but also I was having a lot of, technical issues, so I just kind of gave up on it. But having taken the time to kind of like reassess everything in my life, including like where my mind is, the break was really nice, to be quite honest, because it almost gave me a little bit of like a restart, and I wasn't really sure of what I wanted to do for my May setup. I didn't have a color palette, I didn't have a general idea, I didn't have anything, and it was, at first it was upsetting, but then I kind of just went with the flow, and I thought I was gonna go with this totally different theme, and I kind of just flipped the page and let my mind kind of wander, and I ended up doodling this character. Now, this character is not necessarily from anywhere special, but after I finished drawing her, I kind of realized that it gave a heavy inspiration of like Animal Crossing in terms of like the character design. And even though I have played Animal Crossing for like 5 minutes, I guess it was just like suppressed in the depths of my brain because yeah, it's giving heavy inspiration. But yeah, I don't know too much about Animal Crossing to fully say that maybe I was 100% inspired, because I just don't have the patience to play the game. I still literally have to like mine rocks, and I have to wait every day to do that. Like, my brain is just not there. So I ended up wanting to go more for a May colorful but springy theme, just because in my April setup I actually ended up doing like pandas and cherry blossoms, and I wasn't really happy with it. And I was kind of wanting something a little bit more colorful in my life, just because I don't know about you guys, but those two eclipses and retrograde has really kicked me in the butt. And so I wanted something that was a bit more lively, a bit more colorful, and it just pretty much lightened up my mood every time I'll go into my journal. So I wanted something that just kind of played on those elements, but I was afraid to color everything in like always. So I ended up doing just a little bit of coloring here and there just to kind of get the premise. But I really wasn't sure of how I wanted the colors to kind of sit, because here I'm actually drawing like the umbrella, and I realized that the pink and gray were just too cool tone, or just not as saturated compared to the other colors. So you'll see that later on I actually do change it and I like it a bit better. And same thing with like my heading for the month of May. I thought I wanted something very colorful, very colored in, and I just thought it was just too contrasting with how I kind of colored in the girl and all the other elements. I just felt like it was just boom, too in your face. So I actually ended up covering it and kind of following the same color scheme in terms of just barely coloring it and including a bit more white space for structure, and I really loved it more this way than before. And even though black is incorporated with a lot of like the inking and such, I just opted just to do a more colored, less inky approach for my headers. It's weird to explain, but I just like the absence of a structure that ink gives for certain things. And I just eventually kind of went with it because, like I said, everything was very off the rail. Like, I didn't have any planning. I didn't really have a general conciseness, if that's even the word, to where things were gonna go. I just let my brain kind of do its thing. And this is one of those instances that I kind of just trusted the process, because I didn't know how I wanted to do the calendar spread, because even though I have like all these colorful components and I really wanted to put them all there, I didn't want it to look like a bomb just went off. So I just kind of trusted how my brain was kind of going, and I will tell you, this is my favorite layout. And I do like how generally this monthly layout, my monthly theme kind of has gone, but I'm just still in awe looking at my calendar because it definitely gives me a very retro feel in terms of the color usage. Because I always think of like retro logos or something that's a little bit more 70s inspired, definitely like the oranges and the blues. So I really like how unintentionally this kind of came about. But because there was just so much color involved, I only colored in the blue and the warm tone brown because it gives enough of a contrast visually, and then with the emptiness that the yellow and then the red gives, it's just, I don't know, a perfectly balance of color. But yeah, so everything else around the calendar, actually, I wanted to make sure it did not compete with the calendar layout. So again, I still opted to barely color things in, keep it very neutral with all the greens and the browns, but I wanted to add a bit more dynamic or more elements to the theme itself. I didn't want to just draw this girl a whole bunch of times. One, because I will get bored. 2, will take too long, and 3, I want something that's a little bit more engaging. So I ended up drawing like cute little frogs because I haven't really drawn anything like frog related since probably, I want to say, my August plan with me for 22. It was definitely more of like a foliage woodland critter bug mushroom thing going on, and I would occasionally draw frogs, but never really gave a good dedication for it. So this guy ended up becoming, making an appearance, and I really love it because it's so fun kind of putting like human stuff on frogs that it gives it its own personality. And yeah, I just really loved how everything turned out, especially with the little droplets of rain, because it really gives the impression that like it's just raining or the rain has just subsided, and it's, I don't know, it makes me feel a bit more at peace when you're kind of like looking out the window and enjoying the rain. Sometimes I wish I could just run out to the rain, but I don't like getting sick, so we shall stay inside. But I love how I can look back at this theme and feel like I am part of like what's going on. And it's been a long time, I want to say, that I felt that way, because the last few themes that I've done have been very meh to me. I don't know, I've heard around that like the beginning of this year hasn't really treated a lot of people kindly, just because they feel a little bit like off in some type of regard, or they have these great ideas but the execution is just not there, or just things not working in their favor. And I totally agree with that, just because I've been in the same boat on a lot of those categories that I mentioned. But also, a big thing that has really been affecting me, and I like to talk about it because I just feel like it's something that should be talked about, and that is your mental health. So obviously, with everything that's going on, I've been finding it really hard to pretty much find the motivation to be creative, to commit to something creatively wise, and liking what I kind of produce. So I have kind of been feeling in a rut in terms of my art. I've been feeling as though I am kind of like lacking in some regard. At the time, like, I didn't know what that was, but I realized I was just being too hard on myself mentally, which is normal because you are your worst critic. But also, just mental health, being depressed and everything is really hard because you try to find things that will help you get better. And I mean, not everybody has the answers to get better because it's very different from person to person, but just how you can properly navigate through the channels to kind of heal yourself. So my, I guess, path to doing so is I ended up doing a very colorful theme that at first I didn't think I would, but I did, and I actually love it because now it actually makes me feel a bit happier. It gives me a little bit more motivation to work in my journal again, but also it gives me a better insight of doing things that kind of cater for me in the moment, because little steps do count, because it creates more progress for the long run. And I want to kind of make my journal almost like a safe space for my mind to kind of do whatever it wants to do. And one thing I actually ended up deciding to do, which I haven't really done at all before, like in the 4 years that I've bullet journaled, I don't think I've ever done something like this, is that I ended up taking out my playlist and added a section dedicated for my thoughts for the month. And it's just a page that I can write at any point in time in the month and just see where I'm at mentally, whether it's good, whether it's a little bit more sadder of an experience, whatever the case may be. I just want to give my mind, my feelings, a place where validation is there, and probably to kind of reflect on it later in the year to see, you know, why this happens, what are the ways that I can kind of help myself to kind of get better. And so I'm just really interested and actually very excited to be able to do this, because if it's something that actually really works, because sometimes I like to give up halfway through things, but if it's something that actually works, I would not be opposed to doing it for the next months to come, because I want my journal to kind of serve me a little bit more on a personal level than just organizing my life. And I mean, it's hard to say it that way, because growing up, I was always a kid that didn't like writing down my feelings. I never really liked journaling because my brain just went faster than what my hands can write, or just like the thought process is like all over the place. So I just kind of kept everything to myself and not really in a written format. But now that I'm older, I can kind of pace myself, find the right cues to kind of navigate that. But yeah, didn't mean to kind of go on a little tangent of what's been going on, but I feel like the last few months I've kind of let my channel just go the way it's going, and I don't want you guys to feel like I forgot about it, because I really don't. I know it's there, trust me. I know it's there. But I just want to be as transparent as possible, because the whole purpose of my channel is basically being able to have a safe space to be creative and to express yourself creatively wise, whatever the word is. But yeah, I feel like it still pertains to myself as well, versus, you know, just for you guys out there. I feel like you should practice what you preach, and definitely I want to be as transparent as I can to kind of let you guys know that if you are going through things like this, you're not alone. Trust me. I am 28 years old. I've been kind of dealing with mental health, especially a lot in my teenage years, kind of like how everyone else goes through it. But you kind of find what works for you. And for the longest time, I kind of, you know, would say, oh, I beat mental health. Like, I'm happy, I'm this, I'm that. I'll never find myself back again. And here we are years later, age 28. But what's important is just doing things that kind of make you happy. And one of those things was pretty much creating this theme, and I just love how it all turned out, and hopefully you guys like it too, because it's cool, it's fun, I like the funky colors, and I just like the overall kind of theme in general of it being like either the beginning of a nice cool rainstorm or the ending to one. It's just very nice. It's something that kind of puts your mind at peace, at least for me. But yeah, so kind of going back to the spread, yeah, we're at the weekly spread, and I ended up doing a Dutch door because I don't really have enough time to create spreads on a weekly basis now that I'm actually getting very busy. So I ended up doing a traditional Dutch door and just having everything being readily available. So I just went ahead and did a small little calendar on the left side of my spread and a little bit of a doodling. I didn't know what to put in this little area, so actually ended up incorporating the elements of mushrooms, giving it still again that like foresty, rainy type of aesthetic. And then on the left hand side, I ended up doing a small little section for notes, because since we're now planning for 2 weeks versus 1, I definitely need to put things down that I have to get done, because me and the way that my brain works is just all over the place. Like having an ADHD, it makes you very forgetful, or it makes you actually take on way more than you need to. So sometimes putting things down on paper helps to visually be able to plan better, but also not to forget. And my problem sometimes is that I can be a little bit forgetful.
And talking of forgetful, I ended up using my camera on my phone to take some of like the side angle shots, and in this case, I really thought my phone was recording, and you can kind of see it here.
But it was never recording, and only me being me not realizing it until literally I was editing was horrible. So instead of being upset about it, we're gonna have a good intake of just roll with the punches, and that's what your girl did. I rolled with them punches. So pretty much I'm just gonna show you a very blurry little section of me doodling and coloring in the cute little frog in the corner. But yeah, I'm just trying to find the, I guess, lightheartedness of every situation that may go wrong, because honestly it wouldn't be me without some technical difficulty going wrong. But yeah, this one was just very funny. I wanted to show you guys, that's why I included the clip. But this is pretty much what it looks like at the very end, and I love how everything looked. So if you made it to this point, leave me a frog emoji and make sure to like this video to let me know that you really enjoyed it as well, because definitely my brain loves this. I just get like really cozy vibes and it makes my heart warm just looking at it. But until next time, guys, bye.